Hi and welcome to Format. I'm Sven.
And I'm David.
And tonight we're covering a bit of PlayStation stuff because, we've never done that before. Starting with No Man's Sky. And everybody's going to be going, why are you even bothering when slagging it off? And I can't blame them in a way, but there we go. I've actually been looking forward to this for a couple of years because it was originally introduced as a indie game.
Oh, see, I thought you were just going to go because you're a massive nerd.
I'm a massive nerd. Actually, I'm more of a geek. We won't go there.
No, for computers. It's a nerd. You're a nerd and a geek. You're like a lowbrid.
Oh, how rude. See what I have to put up with? My... Yeah. Anyway, it was supposed to be... It was supposed to be coming out as... Because you always did enjoy your Red Ring, didn't you?
Yeah. Birds, that ring of fire.
That ring of fire.
It's been a while since I've burnt out an Xbox. You probably just jinxed me. Thanks for that.
What, to stop your Xbox is dying?
Yeah.
How is that a jinx?
No, jinx, because I haven't had it happen in a while. Now you've said that. Anyway.
You stand your machines up, don't you? Towering inferno. Anyway. No Man's Sky. It was originally introduced to us as going to be an indie game that would have been not very much to buy, and it was going to be a procedurally generated game, and
that did not work.
That did not work. And Sony looked at it and went, "We can turn this into a AAA title, and we can go mental with it, and we can force the developers to add a load of stuff and basically almost force them to spout crap." That's what happened. They murdered it. I feel sorry for the game itself. I'm not so sure I feel sorry for the head of Hello Games, but I kind of get the feeling he was forced into doing interviews he wasn't prepared for and all sorts of stuff, because some of the stuff that was coming out of his mouth, it's like when he said, "Oh, it'll have this in it," and most people, anybody who knows anything about procedurally generated games just went, "How?" I don't know. It's currently under investigation from the ASA for false advertising.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Now that I didn't know.
And Sony, I think Sony and Steam, because there's a PC version as well, have been handing out refunds because people have been miffed off of what the game's about. And I'm like...
Can I ask you a very quick packaging question? Could you please name me any other steelbook in the history of everything? Not that has had a cardboard sleeve, because quite a few have had cardboard sleeve, but I've never seen one have an actual box.
A lot of any steelbooks that Sony have done for games have a tendency to be in a collector's edition like this. So you actually tend to have something else with the steelbook in a box like this.
Oh, actually, you know what?
But that would require you buying Sony products.
I'm in Egypt. No, they did for the collector's edition of Halo.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But that was a big box. It wasn't a little. No, that's designed to sit on the shelf like that. Where the other games were.
I'm pretty sure that the Uncharted 4 one was very similar to this in design and so on and so forth. I mean, I wanted No Man's Sky because of the type of game it was, and a lot of people slated it off saying, "Oh, I don't know what to do in it," and so on and so forth. And I'm just like,
isn't this the one that computer generates entire worlds? Yeah. In galaxies, in universes.
Well, no, it's supposed to be a universe, but actually it's only one galaxy, and some people have actually decided that the aim of the game was to get to the centre of the galaxy and immediately do that and complete it in a few hours. And it's like, that's not how you're supposed to. You're supposed to be exploring everything. It's basically a Star Trek fans game, because the real part of the game is to go and explore strange new worlds. And boy, can they get strange. Because it's procedurally generated, you literally could end up with anything, and it could look terrible because it's procedurally generated. It's just a seed for each planet, which then generates up what flora and fauna are on there.
So what did the guy say that people were going
to... He was doing things like, yes, you'll be able to meet each other. It's like, one, how, when there's 14 quintillion planets in it?
Oh, that'd be tricky.
And then they...
I suppose you could arrange to meet on a specific planet.
He actually said that people would be able to spy each other, and you can't see each other. If you land on the same planet, even though it's all online, you can't see each other. I've got a feeling that they were being rushed to get it out. It wasn't quite ready because it went back once. Then the people making it got death threats for it being delayed.
They got what?
It's current gamers. there's so many people out there, you know, younger gamers out there who think that they're entitled to anything whenever they want it. And it's just like, sort of. And then you basically got the situation where you can land on a planet, and the demo reels had things like this massive Jurassic World type situation with lovely dinosaurs or with worms.
Yeah, I was just
stuff
looking
like
at
this. And then you land on a planet and you've got some kind of half crippled T-Rex with raptor arms and the inability to walk in a straight line, running about because one leg's bigger than the other. It's because it's procedurally generated. It literally could be anything. It's random. That's the whole point of it. But does it make a good game in traditional traditional sense of a game? Probably not. But it's like Elite. It's like all 3 Elite games, 4 Elite games, because you had Frontier, First Encounters, and you now got Elite Dangerous. And on the PC, it's gone up against Elite Dangerous, which is an incredibly stupid thing to do.
The artwork is lovely.
Yeah. Now I got the collector's edition simply because
you wanted the badge, didn't you?
Well, no, the badge came separately. The badge was a separate thing.
Oh, okay.
I have got the badge. But I collect British games. It's very specific
It's
British
true,
games, so you know. And I like my steelbooks, so this was kind of a no-brainer. And I must admit, I did not pay full price for it. But it's interesting. Have a look at the back there, around where the age rating is.
Well, I've already looked at it. It's Peggy 7.
Yeah, look at it closely.
Peggy 7 violence.
Run your finger over it.
Well, the fact it's a sticker.
Yeah.
I know it's a sticker because it shines completely separate to the package.
Yeah.
They didn't put it on the print of the packaging.
If you take that sticker off, it says, I believe, 12 and online play.
Ooh.
Ooh. So yes, I don't think it was ready. I don't think they released it ready.
Okay.
They went to gold on it and put it out, and I think there's still a lot of work to do on it. Maybe some of the things are to capture the seeds and stop the seeds producing such ridiculous things as some people have found on some of the planets, which don't work. I think the actual ability to interact with each other might come in at some point.
Could be an immersive point.
Yeah, but the problem is that at the moment you don't need PlayStation Plus to play it, and you kind of interact with each other through tables and stuff like that.
Okay.
But the moment you start meeting each other, that becomes an interactive online game and should require PlayStation Plus. Okay. And I'm just wondering what the situation is with this. But this is... I like No Man's Sky. I might be nuts, I don't care. Myself and my 2 kids.
He's definitely nuts, but it has nothing to do with the game.
Yeah. Myself and my 2 kids really quite enjoy it. I mean...
Only 2 of the kids?
Yeah, the 2 youngest.
Okay.
Well, there's Will, the Nintendo nut. He's not going anywhere near it. And Sophie's in Hong Kong. But...
see how good I was? Did not do anything.
I may have to send her out to go and buy me something, because I've discovered that in Hong Kong they released Shadow of the Beast on the PS4 on disc.
On disc?
Yeah. I'm like, apparently they do that quite a lot. Anything that comes out over here that's digital only, they contemplate putting out a disc version, because people tend to like the disc versions and don't download so much.
Oh yeah.
I'm like...
Yeah, because they got people like me who go, no. What happens if the internet goes... What happens if there's a nuclear war tomorrow and we can no longer play online?
So I'm thinking I might have to get that on disc. Just
actually, Donald Trump. Yeah. See, having hard copies suddenly makes more sense.
But, yeah, I really do enjoy the game. I mean, a lot of people have been saying, well, it's like resource management and all this kind of stuff, and it's like you're out there exploring worlds.
Resource management, as in making sure your ship doesn't run out of there before you get to a planet.
Yeah, and things like getting the materials to repair your ship and stuff like that. Things you'd actually have to do.
Really?
Yeah.
So the ship gets damaged and you can repair it from stuff you find on other worlds.
Yeah.
Like make components or just pour in war material.
You craft components. You have to find, say, this number of units of iron and this number of units of carbon, and you put them together, and that makes this
So
sheet.
somebody made a really complicated way of flying between planets on Minecraft.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm up for that. I'll give that a bash.
I mean, these silly things like on the planet I first landed on, it was really, really cold. It was like minus 50 degrees C. So if you're outside your ship for quite a while, your suit starts running out of power and you start freezing.
Well, yeah, he's going to need more power to keep you alive.
Yeah, but people have been throwing their toys out of the pram over there.
Okay, right. I'm missing something here. So, the game is multi-seed, blah, 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 blah. All very good. Right. It generates different worlds with different weather conditions, life conditions, things for each planet.
Yeah.
So you could land on an Earth-type planet and be able to walk around without
class, yeah.
Okay.
Class M.
All right, Class M. But you could also land on Death World.
Yeah.
And molten lava, and your ship starts to melt. Right. Isn't that kind of the point of having multi-generated planets?
Yes. People don't like it.
Isn't that part of the quality that immerses you in a game of, oh, this place is really hot, my spacesuit might melt, or oh, this place is really cold, I need lots of power.
Yeah, people seem to don't like the whole they have to survive type of environment. They like everything handed to them on a plate, I think is the way it looks to me. But we are talking about we're talking about the generation after the generation who said the Metal Gear Solid was too hard.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I've been playing video games too long.
Could be.
I remember when they were actually hard.
But yeah, the thing is, me and you have both been playing video games for too long. The thing is, me and you play different games to each other. But
Commodore Kim 1. Look, one of the LEDs moved.
We tend to have a very narrow margin of games we both enjoy.
Yeah.
On an equal plane.
Considering you quite like some first-person shooters, and I hate them with a passion.
It's rare and far between.
Halo. But you prefer Halo Wars, don't you?
Oh, Halo Wars is amazing, but it's not a first-person shooter.
No, exactly. Whereas one of my favourite games is the original Settlers on the Amiga. So.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, you liked Command and Conquer.
Yeah.
That's what Halo Wars is. It's Command and Conquer, and it's amazing.
Wow.
But the point is still the same. Better. Me and you agree on a certain level of games between the two of us, and then we go our separate ways into what we like. But we both remember when games were a real challenge, where now people go, well, I played it for 20 hours.
Yeah.
Where I go, I played it for 20 hours. Where's the rest of the game?
Oh, yeah.
Think about it, yeah? Back in the day, how long did it take you to get Settlers all the way to the end? Well, at least approximately.
It was well over 150, maybe even 200 hours gameplay there. Easily.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, and campaign modes and all the rest of it, yeah, fair enough, I do appreciate that games have a specific lifespan for you to do it, and if you're good at it, you will beat it quite quickly. That's why we've got different levels of play.
On the front.
But with things like that,
the thing is there's an infinite amount of gameplay time in this, but people are like so goal orientated. There must be a goal in the game. I must do the goal. It's like that's not what it's supposed to be.
One of my favourite comic artists did a wonder. She's a Norwegian artist, wonderful woman. She did a comic character, a cartoon character called Naomi, and one of the ones that always made me chuckle. I actually have it on the fridge. It really makes me chuckle. Is that she goes, oh, and her friend goes, what's wrong? And she went, I picked up my keys and I didn't get a star. Because most of the Wii games, you find a key, you get a star.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, yeah, it's true. Yeah, find your keys, don't get the star.
How depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
moving swiftly on.
But I think the biggest problem with this wasn't Hello Games. It isn't the game itself. It's Sony's handling of it.
Okay.
Put this out at like $24.99, $29.99. I think people would have been happy. Don't put so much pressure on Hello Games. Everybody would have been happier, and we probably would have got a slightly better game as a result.
Yeah.
But the way they've just dismissed people up until the point where they've been threatened legally, you just like, come on, Sony, think about it. But I think Sony have gone into this period of arrogance like they did at the end of the PlayStation 2. Where they're not thinking about their customers, they're thinking about where they want their customers to go, and not what their customers actually want. Perfect example of this being PlayStation 4 Pro.
Oh, yeah.
What on earth were they thinking? I mean, really. I mean, I know they just wanted to tweak the PS4 a bit up, make it slightly more powerful, smooth out frame rates, etc., etc., and make it 4K compliant. And you're like, well, if you're going to make it 4K compliant, do it properly. You know, making your main processor slightly faster and giving your graphics a kick up the backside isn't enough. When you know you need at least to increase the RAM by 50%, because 8 gig of RAM isn't enough. 16 gig would have been more sensible. 12 would have been passable. So I don't know what they were thinking there. The upgrade isn't big enough to do 4K properly.
Which, to be honest, with the new generation of televisions, God, you can go into Tesco's and just buy. So the idea that, do you think it's a bit strange that in a point in time when you can go into a supermarket and buy a 4K telly, that they're not making sure that everything's 4K compatible?
Yeah, I mean, it's well, they are compatible. It's just they're not using it. I mean, the thing is you can walk into a Tesco and you can walk out with a 43-inch HDR 4K television for less than 500 quid.
Yeah.
And you've got the situation of, I'd want to go and buy some of the Ultra HD Blu-rays to play on it. And the cheapest Ultra HD Blu-ray player at the moment is an Xbox One S. How does that work when it's Blu-ray was a Sony thing?
You know what I don't understand? Because, okay, me and you often joke, even though I do have PlayStation 3 and Xbox. Don't have the One, but no, that's a different matter. I do wave the flag for PlayStation because I do think the technology is very good. I have always been a big fan of the 3 as a multimedia platform. It was a cracking Blu-ray player, decent hard drive so you could store your video, your music, photos, have them scroll through, have it go round, you could surf the web, you could have all the web apps. My Netflix runs through it. I mean...
And a lot of that functionality was ripped out for PlayStation 4.
As an entertainment platform, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was going to buy the PlayStation 4 and move the PlayStation 3 upstairs and have the nice shiny new one, and then, oh no, we can't do any of this. Well, I could do, I
mean, it was added later where you could play MP3s and video files.
Yeah, but it was added later.
Off a USB stick. You can't even put it onto the hard drive. And you're just like, what are you playing
what's
that?
The point?
For the gamers. And you're just like,
no,
you've gone too far the other way.
I don't get that because, as you said, they pioneered Blu-ray.
And now you've got a situation where Ultra HD Blu-ray is coming out, and Sony are pushing it. Sony Pictures are pushing it, and they're actually about to start pushing Dolby Vision as well, which is because HDR, as we know it, is HDR10. Dolby Vision is HDR12, so there's 2 extra bits of information.
I didn't know it was 12.
Oh yeah, it's 2 extra bits of information, so there's actually more colours on screen.
Which with the new tellies, yeah.
But the thing is Sony hardware aren't supporting that. There's no Sony televisions that support Dolby Vision. There's very few. All their current TVs that are 4K do support HDR, normal HDR10, but they're not producing a single Ultra HD Blu-ray player. And everybody thought, well, it's probably because they're bringing out, a version of the PlayStation 4 that can do it. No, PlayStation 4 Pro can't do it. And the new PlayStation 4 Slim can't do it, even though the Xbox One S can. Who made that decision? Because both the new Slim version of the PS4 and PlayStation 4 Pro both have HDMI 2 ports on.
Yeah.
They're both compliant with HDR because they've actually managed to get HDR into the normal PlayStation 4s as well, using some jiggery-pokery with the old 1.4 version of HDMI. So all it should require is a firmware upgrade for the Blu-ray drive to be able to read the discs, because one of the important things about Blu-ray was it was supposed to be an open format where you could upgrade the players. And okay, HDMI was going to get in the way because you need more bandwidth. That's fair enough. But even in a machine that's got HDMI 2 and a Blu-ray drive, there should not be any reason why you can't play an Ultra HD Blu-ray disc.
It shouldn't be, but
it should be
a case of just
reason. Some people say yes and some people say no. It should be a case of focusing the laser. That's it.
What does Sony say?
Sony say that it would require a different drive, which would cost around about $20 a unit more.
Which end of value? Oh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but you're still thinking they're putting out the PlayStation 4 Pro at $350, which was the price the PlayStation 4 was at.
Yeah, when they're saying 20, do they mean 20 their end or 20
I'm
custom?
not entirely sure.
Because I think they mean 20 their end, which probably equates to about 80 to 100 hours.
Well, I would have said that if they could have put out the PlayStation 4 Pro at $399 in this country and be able to play Ultra HD Blu-ray, they would have sold a hell of a lot more than they will do with the machine as it is. And I think and the fact that when they announced it wasn't Ultra HD Blu-ray compliant, an awful lot of people just went, what's the point of the machine then? Because tweaking the graphics up a bit isn't enough, especially what Scorpio is going to be able to do, which is the new Xbox One. Well, it might be Xbox 2 by the time it reaches it, because it's going to have much more powerful hardware and will support all the 4K output, including Ultra HD Blu-ray. So you're just wondering yourself, why are they bothering? It kind of makes the PlayStation 4 Pro a bit pointless in my head, and I generally regard it as being a PlayStation nutcase.
You're a supporter, yeah?
Yeah, and I'm just like, well... Now, Sony are convinced that 4K streaming is the way forward.
No.
And I'm like, what kind of connection do they think that people have to the internet? Because
I have no idea, because I couldn't do it here.
even with Netflix's buffering, your 4K streaming is choppy, usually at best.
You need to have an incredible connection.
Yeah. And you're just like, not everybody on the planet's got that, Sony. You're not thinking. And then when I speak to people who have got Ultra HD Blu-ray players and their streaming stuff, they're saying that the streaming quality, even at the best quality you can get out of it with a really good connection, is still significantly inferior to the disc quality.
Does that make sense, though?
Okay, and then especially with discs coming out in the early part of next year, which support Dolby Vision.
Yeah.
And you just like, because there'll be basically one layer for the normal version of the movie, and a layer with the Dolby Vision extra information which will read at the same time. And you're just like, well, duh. What are you doing, Sony? And then a few people have gone on record and gone, well, it's for PlayStation VR. It's to stabilise the PlayStation VR experience. You just need a little bit more power to run that. I'm not convinced of that, because I played on...
You see, this is it. You've played on one. I haven't played on one.
I've played Battlezone. No, I don't. Well, the thing is, I played Battlezone. Okay, it's probably not the most graphically intensive game, but I actually went to go and play a game that reminded me of Virtuality, so I can compare it with Virtuality. So those who don't know, Virtuality was an old VR system you could get in arcades, which was actually based on an Amiga 3000 underneath.
Back in the day,
you put on the
VR.
helmet and you went in, and there was various different game environments, but they tended to be quite, Tron-like in design, if you like. Now, Battlezone is very similar to that, where you're in a battle tank, which again feels quite Tron-like. It's based on the old Atari arcade machine. Now,
it's one of the few ones I really want to play.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I was playing it on a basic spec PS4, an all spec PS4. Okay, it was a debug machine, but I was playing on a basic spec PS4. The helmet actually fitted me okay, and admittedly I had to have it positioned really quite precisely because of the problem with my eye. But once it was on, I was like, yes. The moment it started running, I was just, oh my god. This is what VR should be like, and it was just like little things like the PlayStation camera was picking up the controller, and then you could see the controller, the virtual version of the controller on screen. I'm just like, oh wow. And with Battlezone, you're in a tank, you've got a turret, and so on and so forth. You can aim it right up into the sky, you aim it down, so on and so forth. You can move the tank sideways and so on, because it almost feels like it's on air. It's like a hover tank kind of situation, and literally I'm driving along with the one stick, aiming the reticule with the other one. You can flip between the two guns because there's a gun on the side as well, and you can move that up and down. And you're literally, I could be looking over here and firing over there at the thing I can see through the corner of my eye. I was just like, wow. And it was really immersive, really well done. The sound effects were directional as well through the headset that I was wearing, because it was a PlayStation headset. And it was brilliant. I came out of it, and this was playing it on an all PlayStation 4. I came out of it, bearing in mind I was going into it wondering, will it even work for me because of
the eye. Yeah.
I came out of it going, I really want one of these. And Battlezone's my kind of game. Now they're going to be doing the Star Trek VR. And there's they're doing Super Stardust VR as well, where you sit in the cockpit.
You see, Super Stardust, yay, and I will get it. But Trek is why I'll be buying it in the first place.
Yeah, because that Star Trek game is. I mean, the thing is, it's probably not even a game. Most people will think of it as a boring thing. But Trekkies are going to be like, hell yeah, it's a holodeck program. Because this is the thing, is that as far as I'm concerned, VR is the first step on that.
It's the
step. It's the first step from going from the entertainment's on the screen to you're in the entertainment.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of developers are actually having a problem with it, because they're not quite sure how to approach it. And it's like
approach it like a holodeck. That's how you approach it.
Because this is holodeck 0.1. Basically, it's the first step into doing holo novels and holodeck.
Well, the thing is, if you not a lot of people out there other than Star Trek fans who really are into Star Trek read the classic Trek novels, but in several of the classic Trek novels, the holodecks were spacesuits. You put on a spacesuit and it gave you sensory feedback for touching things, and you had the visor created the image for you. So it is the first generation.
Now, one of the things about PlayStation VR is that it's been advertised as being 350 quid. It's not. It's not 350 quid unless you've already got the PlayStation 4 and the camera.
Yeah, you've got to have
so you've got to have the camera, and then you optionally can have the PlayStation Move works with it, which I'm finding quite hilarious because I've still got my PlayStation Move at home. I've got two ones at home, so I'm like, yeah, well, I never got a PlayStation camera because it came in my machine. So I'm like, yeah. I don't know where the 350 quid's coming from to buy PlayStation VR, but that's another thing entirely.
That's a separate problem.
But
do you need those kidneys?
No. Not when I can play in VR. That's no.
From your hospital bed?
Yeah. But you have people going on about, well, you can get a much better experience out of Vive or Oculus, and it's like, yes, you can.
Yeah, but there's a massive price difference.
But yeah, exactly. It's like, I think you can, for the price of the Vive, you can buy a PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation VR and any bits you need. Whereas with the Vive, you then have to make sure you have a PC that can output the stuff for it, which isn't cheap.
No.
And it's going to be at least 800 quid for the machine to run that through. Same with the Oculus, it might be £599 UK pounds.
Good old Rift.
But you could get a basic PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR for not a lot more than that. And again, you need quite a spec machine, PC-wise, to run that. So a lot of people are going, oh, well, you should get the better spec system. No, I think you'll find that PlayStation VR will have about 50% of the VR market, if not a bit more.
Yeah.
Simply because it's much more accessible. Now,
make it easy.
Yeah.
Never make it hard for somebody to give you money.
Yeah, exactly. And
Sony are very good at making it easy for you to give money.
And there's games starting from like 20 quid for it.
Yeah.
Download only, but
but it's not the point, is it?
Yeah, and I think Super Stardust is going to be offered as an upgrade if you've got a Super Stardust Ultra on PlayStation 4 already. So I'm like, no-brainer, absolute no-brainer. Plus, and I'd have to admit, I don't know what Vive and Oculus can do with regards to non-VR content. But for PlayStation VR, you can use the PlayStation VR helmet on any content from the PlayStation 4. It just does it as a virtual large screen that's designed to be several feet. It actually, if they're setting it up so your focal length on your eyes is set to about 8 foot in front of you, so it doesn't give you eye strain or anything, and it's like the equivalent of a 50 metre or 100 metre screen or something like that, at 8 foot away or something along those lines. So it's like you're just going to be, you can put Star Trek Beyond through it and you'll be like, wow. Talking about Star Trek Beyond, there's a reason for HDR.
Moving on.
Moving on. But it's interesting, I mean, because it's like, I don't know what Sony are thinking, because it's like the VR department seem to really know what they're doing, but the hardware guys working on the consoles, you're like making some very strange decisions. And the marketing department seems to be making some very strange moves and peeing a lot of people off. Meanwhile, PlayStation Plus this month, Transformers Devastation is free on PS4. Yay! And Resi. So yeah, basically we're in a situation where I think Sony are basically getting too big for their boots again. Because PlayStation 2 was a massive success, and by the time of the end of the PlayStation 2 era, they were basically not thinking about their customers, and that looks like what they're doing now.
Could be. Well, let's face it. You've got Xbox, Sony.
Yeah. Nintendo would do it. They'd have to do some serious work with the NX anyway.
I love Nintendo. I won't have anything said against Nintendo. Woohoo! But when you say, I'm a gamer, unless you say I'm a geek gamer, if you say I'm a geek gamer, then people know you're into Nintendo. You're cracking open the DS and yeah. But if you say I'm a gamer, people never think of Nintendo anymore. People always go, Sony.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Well, or the PC Master Race. Please don't get me started on them.
Let's not.
So yeah, I think Sony have basically got to have a slap around the face at some point.
Yeah, it's really weird. I was talking to somebody the other day who laughed at me when I said I was a gamer because I was in a conversation with several women, and now there's a reason I mentioned that. I'm not being a sexist idiot. He was like super hardcore PC, and he's raving about the spec on his
PC Master Race.
And he was like, well, what are you playing these days? And instead of saying the console games, I listed my mobile games because I play more of my mobile games than I do my console games. And I count it as it still counts. And the women that I was sat with, 3 or 5 were playing the same games. And the other 2, oh, you need to try this. And they were really enthusiastic and they were raving about their mobile games. And he started laughing. Oh, it doesn't count, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I think you'll find it does. The revenue from those games tops yours, hands down, easy. Not Bejeweled, Candy Crush originally,
God,
and then no, they weren't. But I'm saying if you look at the money, that those games generate.
But you have a weird dichotomy there. Is that there are a few mobile games that make huge amounts of money.
Only a handful.
But only a handful. And I was speaking to a developer not long ago who did an Amiga version of their mobile game and made more money on the Amiga version. And it was for classic Amigas.
Really?
Yeah, he sold more copies of it for classic Amigas than he did on the mobile.
Wow.
And you just got to think to yourself, wow. I mean, okay, it's a case of someone releases an Amiga game. If it's on disc, Amiga people are going to go, I'm buying that because it's an Amiga game.
It's an Amiga game.
That says copyright 2016 on it. I'm having that.
Yeah.
But for it to sell more copies than it did on iPhone or Android.
Yeah, but the point is, we're at a kind of an interesting point in history regarding gaming, because I mean, people still think it's weird that I'm a tabletop gamer. I love tabletop games. And they are seriously making a comeback.
Oh yeah, have been for years.
And they've been building a thing. But you do have these weird little factions within the gaming communities of, well, I only play it on this machine. Why?
Do you know what I find quite strange? This current generation has annoyed me intensely because anything that tries to do anything slightly differently, like that, is an automatic target.
For abuse and
Yeah. I mean, the whole, when this got delayed, people throwing their toys out the pram and actually issuing death threats to the developers. You're just like, what do you want? And then
I blame Facebook. I blame Facebook.
The new COD,
seriously.
the new FIFA, the new COD, the new FIFA, the new COD, the new FIFA. You guys want to play actual decent video games?
No. Those are decent video games in their own right.
Yeah, but it's the
just because me and you don't give a hoot budge.
And over again. There's a new Call of Duty out this year. What's the difference from last year's one?
Actually,
not a lot. You're going into an area with a gun shooting people.
Actually, I was having an argument again. I argue a lot with people. Somebody who was raving about FIFA and went, "What do you know? You know nothing about sports games." I'm not a great fan of sports, and I was like, "Actually, I do. Blood Bowl, love that game."
And he was like, "What?"
Yeah, that was exactly.
I'd rather play Speedball, thanks. But yes, I mean, it's like you kind of got this repetitive. There's a new Assassin's Creed. There's a new God, there's a new FIFA. It's the same game over and over again.
Tomb Raider.
Well, no.
Actually,
that got
Tomb Raider did
rebooted.
try a few new things.
And you know the one that was exclusive to the Xbox One last year?
I know of it.
Right. It's now coming to PlayStation 4 for this Christmas. They're putting all the DLC on the disc from the Xbox One version. And they're doing a kind of like 20th anniversary special edition part to it because it's
nice.
timed nicely. Yeah. And then they're doing a VR section.
There you go.
It's like, see, when Sony want to do things right, they can. Which is slightly annoying. It's like, can't you actually think of everything through that you're doing? And then they had this whole, I don't know if you're aware, they had this whole thing last week, bearing in mind when we're filming this, where FIFA came out. FIFA 17 came out. And they cleared out all of the old stocks of the PlayStation 4, all the old chunky ones. And they did 500 gig machines at £150 with a free FIFA. And you're like, it didn't matter if there was something already in the box. Like, you know the Lego Star Wars bundle that had Lego Star Wars and the Lego and Star Wars Force Awakens Blu-ray. Yeah, they did those for 150 quid with a free copy of FIFA. Surprisingly, they didn't last long.
Oh, I can't
and
think
they
why.
did the 1 gig ones at 180. Just like... So suddenly there's loads of people out there who couldn't afford a machine before who have now got the machine,
a good machine,
sitting at home, and you're just thinking to yourself, how big is that user base who can now go, I might be able to get a PlayStation VR?
Yeah.
That's clever.
That is.
That's clever. And because they can't do HDMI 2. And the worst part is the slimline PlayStation 4. I'm not so sure about the PlayStation 4 Pro, but the slimline PlayStation 4 hasn't got optical out. They've taken it off.
Do I?
It's got no optical out. You just like you can't plug it into a surround sound system anymore. I'm like, are they insane? For the gamers.
That's a weird thing to take off.
Yeah.
That's a really weird choice.
Yeah, and you just like it's now literally got the only output for audio video is the HDMI port.
Because you get people like me who have THX and we get upset when you can't do that.
Yeah. So that's bizarre. That's absolutely a weird situation to be in. But you've got this. I mean, I think this generation of console gaming has been the worst for innovation since PlayStation came out. I'd have to say, people are going to hate me for this. SNES and the Mega Drive, I never felt that they did anything that was particularly a leap forward from the older 16-bit computers and the 8-bit games console. I never felt like they did anything that really pushed the boundary. Very much underlined by the fact a lot of games that came out on the Mega Drive, for instance, also came out on the Master System.
Yeah.
And this is, again, we're into a situation now where the hardware is boring because the hardware is a PC. PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PCs are all the same hardware underneath. There's no innovation there. And then
but you had to know eventually that was going to
happen. And it's basically the only difference is the software services.
Yeah.
The software layer, that's the only place where the difference is. But now, what Nintendo are doing is interesting again. Do you know do you know anything about the NX? Nintendo NX is basically a hybrid console and handheld. So it's basically a handheld you can wander around with and you plug it into your TV.
Yep.
I'm slightly disturbed by the fact it's using cartridges. But you know,
they're not going to get rid of their classic format. No,
and you've just got to wonder to yourself, ooh, hold on, does that mean, that basically means that people are going to be wandering around with a new little machine, playing Pokemon in the streets, which probably use a camera, do the whole Pokemon Go thing and have a traditional Pokemon game all mixed in together. Then you can take it home and battle with us through the TV. I bet you the machines will link as well.
I would be surprised if they don't.
Yeah. I'm just hoping they've got a way of like sort of split screening your big TV at home, or you could be one TV at one end of the house and one TV at the other, and that and you know ad hoc play between them. And you're just thinking to yourself, hold on, that's going to put a whole new dimension on things.
Yeah, they did fudge it up a bit with the little Wii thing last time.
Yeah, Wii U was a
lovely idea. It was a lovely idea, but they missed. They had an idea and they didn't.
The name in itself confused people.
Yeah.
People were confused about whether it was an add-on for the Wii or not, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
But the thing is there were some really good games on it, and there still is some really good games on it. But it's a failure from a
money
sales
point of view. Yeah.
Unfortunately. And you've got to ask.
Not from the weird stuff in our collection.
No. Not that I have one, but my son does. Well, my sons do. Rather. But you got to ask the question: are people going to give the NX a chance? And I'm not so sure, because handheld gaming as a whole, other than mobile phones, has basically gone by the wayside.
It has.
Which is a shame. But there we go. Anyway, I think we've rambled on long, you know.
What's this white man? Alright, well, thank you very much for watching. His opinions. We'd like to hear yours. You can leave them in the comment section below. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow us on both Facebook and Twitter. And of course, there is the official Geekology website. Thank you for watching, and good night. So, Women Sky then, do they?
Yes, Women's Sky.
Women's Sky, no men are allowed. Okay. So, it's been a while since we did a format.
Yeah.
Okay. You feeling good? You ready?
Yeah.
Not sure what you said there.
I said,
Comedy Siri is back.
Ding, 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 ding.
Comedy Siri.
3, 2, 1. I'm not a great fan of sports, and I was like, actually I do. Blood Bowl. Love that game.
And he was like, what?
Yeah, that was exactly.
I'd rather play Speedball, thanks.
Sorry. Siri wanted to join in that conversation.
Shut up, Siri.
I'm having a problem with connection. Please try again in a while.
Ice cream! Ice cream!
3.
Is there a doctor
2.
in the house?